I remember one time I escaped Reggie White. He was in Carolina at the time, and I threw this like 75-yard bomb, and he was hanging off my foot after I let it go, and I looked down, I kind of helped him up, and that deep old voice, he's like, "Damn, Leaf, you were big."
And we are back with another episode of Not Just Football. I'm your host, number 97, Cam Heyward. Hayden, he's here. Let's have some fun today. You ready to get down to it?
Yeah, I'm really excited to get down to it. Got a couple cool topics for you. We're going to discuss a little Russell Wilson, get some fan questions, but I think first, with the week that it is, we need to start off with Combine. I know you went to the Combine. You didn't compete because you were faking an injury. We won't discuss that right now. But Bryce Young won't be throwing at the Combine. What does that mean to you as an evaluator?
You're not about to just run through that, okay? First of all, I wasn't injured. I mean, I was injured, but I didn't fake an injury. But I don't think the Combine matters at all. We'll talk about that later. Let's talk about, this quarterback that has a chance to go top 5, Bryce Young from Alabama. Won't throw at the Combine. And I think it doesn't really matter. You've seen what he's done with receivers he has a good relationship with, has chemistry. And I feel like sometimes you only hurt yourself when you put yourself in a situation where, you don't have the receivers you've been accustomed to. Like, why is a quarterback trying to throw to receivers who he doesn't understand their breaking points? He doesn't understand how they relate the routes, and what's their strengths. I know we're trying to, pub out, good content for good receivers and quarterbacks, but man, if you don't have those guys that, can go out there and get it, does it really look like, if it's an incomplete throw and you overthrow them, who looks more at fault for that? So I don't know if it really helps him out as much. I think it's going to be huge for Pro Day, so he can show he's had that time with receivers. And I think for any quarterback, when you look at the Combine, it really makes no sense in the grand scheme of things to, participate in some of those things other than giving the receivers, an extra arm to throw to.
Do you think some teams, though, would prefer him to throw, considering Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, I believe I pronounced that name correctly, and CJ Stroud are all going to be throwing, and it's almost like they want to see him compete against them?
You're going to compete either way. I think you're going to have a pro day. You're all going to be there. I think we put too much stock into the Combine. I think there's drills and things that don't pertain to the next level. And I know, like, is it really that more competitive if every guy is thrown out there? You guys don't have an O-line and, you don't have rushers in your face. We're literally playing 7-on-7 and you can hold on to the ball as long as you want. Like, what are we really teaching the guys here? It's I like to think it's like it's almost like modeling, because you're showing off the goods. You're showing everybody the high up leg and everything, but you can't touch and you can't draft them off of that. And, it's not actually, you're not getting to actually know that person and to know how they tick. For all you can say, everybody has a plan until they get hit, and in the Combine, they're not getting hit at all.
So let me ask you this. What drills at the Combine would you say are the most not important when it comes to evaluating a football player?
The 40 is overrated. The fact that we make O-linemen, D-linemen, I could understand a 10 or a 20. I think that's huge. You can see acceleration. You can see them get out of their stance. You can see hips. You can see, a magnitude of things. But then, I think the 40 is just overrated. I look at some of these D-line drills, and the ones I like are the bag drills, because you can see them stop and start, getting over pads, because there's no such thing as perfect play in defensive line. It's about, dealing with, the clutter and getting off blocks, reacting to stuff. That's cool. But then you get some of these drills, I'm just like, do you really need that? Is me doing a broad jump just going to show you the world of what I'm capable of? I'd rather we got away from the Combine and everybody participated in a practice-like setting, and then it led to some type of game. One, I can break down tape. Two, I can see how you deal with breaking down tape. Do you ask questions? Do you take it to the practice field? Are you continue to ask questions there? And then how you relate to a game, how you interact with teammates, how you lead guys. These are all more important things than just, I'm in spandex showing you I can jump high. It doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. What do you think they could add at the combine to make it more realistic?
I don't know who would all be for it. I think we have the Senior Bowl and we have these East-West shrines and these type of things, these scrimmages of sorts. Those are pretty much bigger. But I'll tell you right now, any team you think is just using the combine as their way to really scout a player, you're poorly mistaken. There is no the coaches could go in and not look at film at all. I mean, not look at the combine at all and still draft the perfect guy they want. I think the combine is way overrated. It's for, ratings and such. And, we're trying to get good content. We're trying to get the likes and stuff. But at the end of the day, if they don't perform well there, that is that's no guarantee that he's going to be a terrible player. I didn't even do the combine. I literally had meetings and was just talking to coaches. Like, my best interview was with the Steelers, where I was just, getting to know them. They were getting to know me. I'm talking to Coach LeBeau, Mike T, Coach Butler, John Mitchell. I enjoyed those because they got to see more of my personality. My worst meeting was with the Denver Broncos. Mike Shanahan was there. And, he's asking me to go up to the board. I think I made a joke and nobody laughed. And so I was like, oh, gosh, I'm off to a terrible start with this. And then I dropped the marker, and the marker ended up behind the board. And I'm like, guys, I wish I could restart this whole thing because this is not going well. But, some of these teams ask the dumbest questions too. It's not just the physical side, but there is a mental portion where teams feel like they have to ask you off-the-wall questions just to see how you react. And it has nothing to do with football. It does not translate. It does not mean you're going to be a bad player or a good player. So I think you could really scrap the whole thing.
See, the funny thing, though, is I think I agree that if you are bad at the combine, it might not ruin you. But we both have seen guys that if they do really well at the combine, right? They run a John Ross is a guy that came to mind. He may have been a first-round talent before the combine, but when he ran that 4.2, he became a guaranteed first rounder. So I disagree a little bit that I do think teams do take some of the drills there a little more serious than you think, because we've seen guys who ended up not being very good at all get drafted because they were combine warriors.
Yeah, there was the, everybody's got to do the bench press. And everybody, first you go up in your spandex, in your tight shirt, and they say your name, say how much you weigh, and they have you get up there. Everybody else is around you around the stage, and then the coaches are just in the bleachers, and they're all watching you. I couldn't do a thing. I'm watching guys do 50 reps easy. I don't want to go into names, but there was one guy who was doing 50 reps. He's pumping it, and I'm like, man, this dude is strong. There's no way. There's no way he's not taken in the first round. He wasn't. But then, I'm just there cheering on the whole time. I'm like, go, guys, go get him. Go get it. That's how you do that. Yeah, yeah. And, somehow I got drafted in the first round. How does that work? It really makes no sense. We do a bench press because I think it comes down to functional training. How can you apply that strength to the actual job? It's not actually just being strong as an ox. How can you apply that and make sure you're dominant in tight quarters?
Yeah, I got a question though. What do you think did you do bench press at the pro day?
I did.
What do you think you would have gotten 225? How many times?
If I really got to train for it?
You're pretty strong. I mean, yeah, you're a strong guy. I mean, what do you think? You think you can get above 30?
Yeah, I can get above 30.
Really? Because I remember when you were going through that, I think it was me and Corey, your brother, were going back and forth on what you would jump in the vertical. Do you remember that?
I jumped in pro day.
I know. We didn't think you'd get above 35, but I'm pretty sure you did. You got 37, didn't you?
35 and a half.
Oh, that's what it was. I remember
Yeah.
that, man. Yeah, I didn't think you'd get this kind of ups.
Corey was shocked. Yeah.
I know he was, but you could dunk in high school, so maybe I don't know if you could still dunk now, but
I can still dunk. It just hurts my knees.
Yeah, see, you should. We talked about this I think last week. No more basketball until you're done.
Right. Yeah, I've given up the basketball.
Okay, so overall though, you're out on the pro day and kind of think it's almost pointless.
I'm out on the combine. I do think pro day, and I think having some type of scrimmage or bowl game where we really get to see these guys in action, and you get have a closer look on these guys. I just think there's so much more you could do with a kid if you can, have that practice like structure with them.
Now, and I want to go one more thing on here. Not that like you have a choice because obviously there's a draft, but does the meeting part of it allow you to maybe see teams, I don't really want to play for them, or I wouldn't be as comfortable in that organization?
I guess that's what Eli Manning did.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I know that's one of our bosses and one of our boss's brothers, but I think, I guess you can look at the situations and say, this isn't a good fit for me. I don't think I ever thought that. I thought wherever I end up, that's where the work starts. Mm-hmm. Because I think you only get drafted once, and there are numerous amount of factors that can happen. But the only thing I can control is when I get there, let's get to work. Some guys think once you've gotten drafted, that's it. I'm able to take care of my family. I've heard of guys getting cut, they're second rounders. I haven't seen a first rounder get cut in a long time, but I just think you have to go in with the mindset that there's more work to be done.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to watch some of it. I know you think some of it's pointless, but it's made for TV. And when you see
you just like looking at everybody in the spandex. Basically.
No. I like watching a quarterback throw it 75 yards in shorts, which I think they should be doing that in pads, by the way, right? Make them run some of the drills in pads at least. And also, why can't we throw a DB out there against them occasionally just to see? I would love that.
That would be very cool. And that would, be productive. O-line versus D-line, nobody really wants to do without padding because O-linemen like to complain, oh, he's bull rushing me. But the O-linemen know how to play the drill too. In a pass rushing drill, an O-lineman will play off and know he doesn't have to, jump at the line of scrimmage because the more he has time to recover, the more he looks good. So there are little things for the O-lineman, D-lineman that wouldn't be great without pads. But then I think, wide receivers and DBs, you could get, better looks at good players and understand who's at the top of the picking order and who's at the bottom.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It should be exciting. Hopefully they take some of our advice and spice it up a little bit. All right, I want to go to the rumor mill with you here. Some of the NFL stuff going on. Yeah, I know, rumor mill. You like that, huh? All right, so we got a rumor coming out of Seattle. The Athletic reported that Russell Wilson gave an ultimatum to the Seahawks ownership requesting to replace Pete Carroll with Sean Payton, who now happens to be his coach in Denver. I just want to know, if a story like this were to leak in the Steeler locker room, how would you as a leader go about it, and what is your take on it?
Sometimes you just got to let, rumors be rumors. Sometimes you don't have to give stuff life. I honestly don't believe the rumor. I think there were things where, Russ wanted more say in the offense and wanted to have different things they did. But I don't think he outright said, I want this coach replaced or I want this general manager replaced. I don't think, from my position, from a player perspective, players don't really do that. Like, we control what we can control. And I don't think a player enters front office and says, I want this done, this done, this done. And then, like, if it's not meant, then trade me. Like, that guy has won your head coach has won a Super Bowl before. Like, why would anyone think he has more say than the actual, coach?
Yeah, I just think it's interesting because taking some of the quotes from former teammates in Seattle and other people who are currently in Seattle, it seems like things got really ugly there. So I don't know that I don't believe it. Maybe the story's not 100. We don't know the story full, but I think there is more there than we think because it got really ugly. And even to where the Seahawks seemed like they were piling on this year on top of him after he had been gone.
I think there had to be a changing of the guard. Seahawks were known for having the Legion of Boom, the defense. The defense had won them those games. But Russ was coming along. Russ was continuing to keep growing. But there had to be a point where that offense had to be higher than that defense. And I don't think either really wanted to acknowledge that and let that be. There had to be a change of, now your offense is going to have to be your focal point. We have to score more points. We have to do some things different. And your defense, I think their defense was awesome this year. And they had a really good defense. But I don't think, it was as simple as, Russ was the problem. I think Geno made that transition a lot smoother than people thought because, one, Russ was injured last year. And I don't think everybody paid attention to that. But once Russ got injured, the team struggled a lot. But Geno was able to come back the following year and be ready for that situation. So I think there were a lot more factors than a lot of people pay attention about than just Russ was just the issue. Who called the run? Who called the pass in the Super Bowl instead of the run? That's an issue right there. And I think we might need to get Richard Sherman and ask him who's more responsible, for what happened after that Super Bowl run. Because if you look at that game, if they score that touchdown, is Russ still in Seattle? Are there so many different opportunities? And, that's one more Super Bowl off of Tom Brady's list. What happens there? There are a lot of different scenarios that play out if that game plays out differently.
Well, and think about it from the Russ side. 2 Super Bowls set you apart. I mean, Rodgers has one, Breeze has one. 2 is like the number, right? And so you're right. I mean, the question is on that. Did he audible out of a run to a throw? And if he did, then that's another issue here.
My thing is, why wouldn't you run the ball? Marshawn just got you down there. Give it to him at least once. Let's see what happens.
I know.
And I think you still had a timeout on the board. I got to quit talking about this because we got other things to talk about. But, we could go down a rabbit hole with that one.
We're going to go on to another team in the NFC West and another team that is kind of in a similar situation where they're going to have to make some moves here. There's a rumor Jalen Ramsey will be getting traded by the Rams. Let's just start here. Where do you think he ends up and where do you think he fits best?
I don't know where he ends up. If he ends up anywhere in the AFC North, it's got to be the Steelers. Mm-hmm. But that dude is a talent. I like how chippy he is. He talks a lot of trash. He gets in the wide receivers' heads, and he backs it up. And he's accountable. I think from a corner perspective, that's what you want. A guy who competes and is going to go out there, but. You don't know where he's going to end up. I think there are a lot of, I think there's almost every team needs a corner of that stature. But who's going to pull the trigger? He does have a heftier, contract where if you do bring him in, it's going to, take up a portion of your salary cap. But that's the name of the game. And if you want to be successful and you want to have a good defense, that's where it starts. But it's not just him gone. It's you lost Bobby Wagner as well, and so now you're stuck. You have your head honcho and Aaron Donald. What goes forward? Who's able to, make the change and really surround Aaron Donald with a lot of pieces going forward?
Yeah, Aaron Donald kind of feels like that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meme where Will's kind of just standing in the living room by himself looking around and no one's there. Like it feels like that defense with Bobby Wagner gone and Jalen Ramsey most likely being traded. He thought about retiring last year. Do you think he ends up maybe retiring this year because they don't look like they're going anywhere?
I don't think he's thinking about retiring because there is a big, number out there that if he does play, he gets to collect that. But I don't think he just plays for that. But you start to look around the situation. It's not only that they're losing players, they don't have a lot of draft capital. And so having, really good players leave and then not having draft picks, how do you go forward? Do you trade another player, a Cooper Kupp, to try to, balance out your roster a little bit more because you're over the cap? So it'll be interesting going forward. It's always interesting around this time because if you have a rookie quarterback, you can complete your team out. If you don't, you're going to have to make cuts.
How aware are you guys of the salary cap situation as players?
Oh yeah, I'm in meetings with Omar Khan breaking it
No,
down.
but come on, you know what I mean by that. You know what I mean. You know if you guys are in salary cap hell or not, right?
But there's always ways to massage the cap. You know, there's always ways to extend or restructure people to push money down when, you know, there's an influx of money coming in every single year because of us streaming or some ways. So, you know, and I think the crazy thing is we gained all this money in salary cap this year, but we were still trying to pay back all those benefits to the NFLPA. So making everybody whole again, you got to think next year there's going to even be a bigger influx of cash. So it's like, you know, there are certain ways to just massage it. But then you look at teams like, you know, I think like years ago there was a New Orleans thing where it was like they couldn't pay a soul because they were almost $100 million over the salary cap. And it's just like, okay, like I guess that's what you got to do. But, you know, you can always move money around.
Yeah. All right. Well, I didn't think you were sitting with the GM, but I figured you were at least aware of what the contract situation was, but whatever. All right. Last rumor I want to go into, and it involves a Buckeye. So I have a feeling I know where you're leaning. Rumors that Bears are considering the rumors that Bears are considering trading the first overall pick or potentially drafting a new quarterback. What would you do if you're the Bears GM?
Everybody's going to say I'm biased, and everybody's just going to say I'm going to choose to stay with Justin Fields. But I got to think you got to start building around him. I think he had a pretty good year. He knows how to run with the ball. And I think you just got to keep surrounding him, giving him a good O-line, getting a good tight end, wide receivers. You fill out those positions around him. Because, like, you know, if you put Justin Fields in a situation like Jalen Hurts has, how awesome would he be in that situation? Because in Jalen's situation, what's his best strength? Running the ball. And he's able to make everybody else look great. But you got to surround, you know, Justin Fields. And I think, you know, you lost Roquan Smith. That is a huge, huge piece to lose. You know, I think you got to start doing some things to, you know, make him look right rather than blame it all on and put everything on his shoulders. There's going to be times and heartaches for the young quarterbacks. But the best thing you can do is build around him and, you know, make sure he understands that we're centered on making you have the best offense around you so you can be the best person.
I also think, too, I mean, he showed up a good amount of the ability to run, like you said, Jalen Hurts, whatever. But I also think, too, I mean, you know as well as I do, Cam, the number one overall pick will get a bunch of draft capital back. And then I saw Mel Kiper today on ESPN say they're going to trade to 2, and then they're going to trade back after 2. So they could get 6 to 7 draft picks to build around Justin Fields. And then, like you said, you could end up maybe even use one of those to get an A.J. Brown type player or like a DeAndre Hopkins or somebody who's available. So I'm with you. I don't see why you would go backwards and draft another rookie when you could trade back and get a ton of picks for this year and next year. And you said build around them, right?
You could, like you said, you could get the picks, but then you could also get players on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
That is smart general management right there. I think we played our share of Madden plenty of times and understand those opportunities. You don't need the number one pick, but you need more picks and more players. And I think that would be a really advantageous situation going forward.
It's also a dangerous game to trade away Justin Fields because you think Bryce Young or someone is better, and then Justin Fields goes on to be a Hall of Famer, and Bryce Young or whoever didn't turn out to be as good because the team around him just wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting spot for the Bears. I think they trade back and build around them, but those rumors are kind of been crazy, and I wonder if that's maybe them just trying to get more draft capital out of people like, hey, we may take a quarterback, so we don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Let's continue to just keep building around them and, you know, make sure that we set them up for the future.
Yeah, I like how you always got to support your Buckeyes too. If he was a Michigan man, you would not have picked him.
I don't have Michigan quarterbacks in the league anymore, bro.
I know. Well, hey, Chad Henne. I don't know. Is Chad Henne still in there?
He's gone.
Did he retire too?
Yes, he retired.
Damn. All right. Damn.
Building the perfect same-game parlay can be time-consuming, but with Quick Picks, the Caesars Sportsbook app does the work for you. Quick Picks are pre-built same-game parlays that turn today's biggest headlines, storylines, and games into bets. They're quick and easy to use, and you can't miss them. They're right on the home screen of your Caesars Sportsbook app. Give them a try, and if you haven't downloaded the app yet, register using code OMAHAFULL, and then place your first bet. If you win, congrats. If you don't, you'll get your stake up to $1,250 back as a bet credit.
Okay, let's do some not just football quick hit topics from the fans. I'm gonna say some of these people's names, and I hope I pronounce them correctly. And I apologize if I do not. All right.
Okay.
I'm letting everybody know. I'm just letting you know too. All right. Mark Bergen wants to know, what was your welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers moment?
My welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers moment would be when it was my rookie year. I won't even go game. I'll go practice. I had gotten, it was my first couple of days of practice during training camp. And, surprised I wasn't fighting, but, the O-line just started to jump me. And, that was their way of like welcoming, the young boy to the group. I came to the sideline and Coach Mitch goes, "You can fight back. You're not going to be penalized here." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I go back and somehow I get into another fight, and more of me just going hard because guys, there's a level of respect, and I didn't think I had to do that at that moment. Get in the fight, and Coach Mitchell comes up to me. He's like, "Okay, let's see if you can keep it going." And so I feel like I got in the fights the whole time. But then the funniest part was Casey Hampton finally was like, "Y'all ain't about to just jump him." And so he came from the sideline and just started, fighting everybody. And I knew, I was like, okay, I got the D-lines back. They're going to look out for me now.
Who was the offensive lineman that was fighting you the most or picking on you the most?
There was Willie. Pounce always tried to get a cheap shot. Chris Kimawatu. Max Starks never fought anybody.
Chris Kimawatu was crazy.
Juicy's not crazy though.
Dude, he would be a guy who there's a pile and then Kimawatu comes out of nowhere and just destroys somebody on top of the pile.
And think about this. Chris used to play kickoff return. He was the wedge. I used to play wedge. And so imagine that dude on the wedge. I think that he was a monster at it.
Why'd you call him Juicy? His nickname was Juicy?
His nickname was Juicy.
Why is that?
Everybody just call him Juicy. Juice.
Oh, okay.
But, those were the culprits. Trey Essex would get in there. Max Starks never fought. Doug Legursky, I fought a lot. I could go down the list. There was a lot of O-linemen I fought in my time. It's Ramon I would fight. Ramon Foster I would fight sometimes.
Villanueva, I feel like I read a couple times you guys got into it. Maybe not.
But that was like once or twice. Like,
okay. That was a broadcasted one for sure.
Yeah, like everybody makes a big deal about it, but like everybody fights during practice. I don't even have the craziest fights. So, it's always fun when they happen. Because
can you give us craziest fight you've seen at Steeler camp? I know it's quick hitters. I know it's quick hitters, but think about it real quick.
I think the AB Ike T that led to Troy and RC jumping in was crazy because it was like AB and Ike T were going back and forth, and then AB started talking to Coach LeBeau. And once he started talking to Coach LeBeau, RC and TP weren't having that. So one thing led to another. You start hearing Troy Chop start talking. It set everybody off.
Wow. Okay, man, that was a good one. I didn't think that was a lot of names in that one. That was a good one. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to move on here. This is a little bit charity stuff here. We have Ted Lacus, I believe. He wants to know how he can donate clothes to Craig's Closet.
Oh, well, nice. I would say you can go on to the Cameron Heyward foundation.org and you can donate right there. There's a menu button and you can go straight to donate. We appreciate your donations, but we're always looking for them, and they go to help out a lot of people.
Is it just Pittsburgh where you have everything, or is it Atlanta have a place where we can donate in Atlanta, or is it just Pittsburgh?
We're donating clothes just in Pittsburgh,
Okay.
but donations of any kind, monetary donations can go straight to the foundation. I mean, straight to the website, but clothes are mostly in Pittsburgh.
And just for the people who aren't familiar, explain to everybody what Craig's Closet is and why you do it.
Yeah, Craig's Closet is dedicated to my dad. He only had one suit throughout high school and college. So one thing he wanted to start was giving suits to young men for job interviews, proms, college interviews. And now we are able to do that. And we're also, we've been fortunate enough, I think we have about 10 in high schools right now. And it's just continuing to grow. In the high schools, we have like a room. We set it up almost like a store where people can check out a suit, get it tailored, get fitted. We have shoes, ties, belts, and we like to celebrate those kids. We end up throwing a big get together called Suiting for Success, where we're able to highlight these children and find out what they have planned for their lives and where they're going to school, or if they have prom coming up. And they wear their suits. They look very put together, and they're just all excited. And it's really cool to hear their stories.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. I just hope you're not giving fashion advice, and I hope you're sticking to your.
Wait! Why not? I am a stud when it comes.
You cheat. You got a stylist. It doesn't. You don't have the You're like me. I don't have the natural style. I need to hire a stylist too. So don't feel bad.
What? Wait, who doesn't have a stylist?
I don't have a stylist.
No, but okay. Who do you look at in your fashion world who you think doesn't have a stylist?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't look at fashion.
You think Odell Beckham doesn't have a stylist?
I'm sure he has a stylist. I guarantee he's got a stylist.
And he's known for his fashion. Boom.
All right, last question, and I think this might be the most important one because I really think we'll probably differ on this. Peyton Aronson, I believe hopefully I pronounced that correctly, wants to know, is love really blind?
It can be.
When I look at my wife, says no. The show says no.
But when I look at my wife and she looks back at me and I look in the mirror, love is blind because I don't know how I pulled that off.
Shut up. I mean, I don't know. The thing is, love is blind is I'm taking it to the reality TV show. And there's no way in hell, Cam, that you would talk to somebody on the other side of a wall and then propose to them.
I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do that. I think that's very strange. And I just think, like, there are a lot of sounds I would hear on the other side and be like, what the hell is going on over there? Like, if someone ever, like, passed gas over there, I'd be like, oh, my gosh, like, is she okay? Is she hotboxing? Like, what is going on over there?
There's so much there, and I'm sorry. I'd be the person to be asking questions to try to figure out looks and things like that. I would be. It'd be terrible.
No, you're not going to be the guy who says, hey, can I put you on my shoulders at a concert?
No, there's more clever way to do it than that. Okay. But like, there are, I've not planned it out, but I'm telling you, there's ways to do it. Like, listen, I'm telling you, I don't think it is blind. That show is ridiculous, and as much as I love it, but I do want to ask you because you texted me while you're getting a mani-pedi this week.
Okay, yeah. Everybody thought I wasn't sober in this moment, but I was. I was getting a pedicure at the time.
You were firing off thoughts for the show, and I'm like, you had to have a mimosa or two.
No, I was completely sober, and I was just getting a pedicure, and I was like, what if they came up with like Love is Blind for athletes? Like all their favorite athletes and like all your favorite athletes all in the same place and looking to date.
But it's both people are athletes.
Yes.
Oh man, I would sign up for that. I mean, dude, I watch regular people. I watch people from freaking whatever reality show. So I would definitely watch athletes doing it for sure.
I think and you could just see the competitive side and really like get to know some people, and then you can see like how crazy some of these athletes are and how like, you know, they're very beautiful on the outside, but they are scary inside.
That's the worst part, man. Is that's the problem. Athletes wouldn't do it because you find out, you start to, I hate to say it, judge these people off what you're watching. So it's like, man, you're like, God, that person is such a bad person. You're like, oh no, I don't know if athletes would do it.
Okay. Side note, I will say I was very shocked one time. I was going to the Super Bowl as a rookie before my rookie year, watching the Steelers and Green Bay play. I went to a party, a Gatorade party, and there's people around me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm next to some really cool athletes. Okay, after they had a karaoke party. Do you know who loves karaoke more than anybody that I was just shocked by?
I have no idea.
Serena Williams.
Really?
Yes.
What was she singing?
I don't even remember what she's saying, but I remember just being like in awe, like, oh my gosh, like Serena,
Okay.
that's her.
Though. Were you impressed with her karaoke, or were you like, it's just Serena Williams doing karaoke?
I was impressed how much she was into it. How about that?
Okay. You can't remember the song?
I can't remember the song.
Wow. All right. Real quick though, what's your go-to karaoke?
Ooh, Nelly, Ride With Me.
Wow, man, I did not see that one coming. Interesting. That's a good one though. Good song.
Yes.
All right. So the boss, Peyton Manning, is a part of a new show called Goats on the History Channel.
Yes.
And in his latest episode, they did a stadium smackdown and listed the top 10 stadiums of all time. That face is kind of saying it all. I think we both agree on this. I mean, first off, Yankee Stadium being one on that list is insane. It shouldn't even be on the list.
I like the Yankees, but I think we give a lot more credit to the baseball stadiums for some odd reason.
There's historic value there, but it shouldn't be one. Like, to me, Madison Square Garden should be ahead of Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden. Why did we even put the Coliseum? No one even was that around. Like, that's lame. Like,
I kind of agree with that too. I agree that like the historical value, I'm there, but I'm also with you. Like, that's not a part of this. That's not what we're doing.
Who can say they were at the Coliseum? Like, we have nobody who can say that. Like, whoa, we never saw anybody like get their head chopped off there. Like, that's ridiculous.
Okay, so for the list goes Yankee Stadium, the Coliseum, Rome, Madison Square Garden, Fenway Park in Boston, the LA Memorial Coliseum, so that's where USC plays, I believe. Wembley Stadium, Comiskey Park, another one that I'm like, Comiskey Park? You're not going to put Wrigley in there? Wimbledon, the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, and the Superdome in New Orleans. I'm not going to lie. I would probably take off the Astrodome, the Superdome, Comiskey Park, and Yankee Stadium.
The best thing about the Astrodome was that's where the Bad News Bears played.
Isn't that where Friday Night Lights was filmed too?
Is that?
I think that's where they played the championship game in that.
Oh.
So that's pretty cool too.
Big
But
whoop.
still,
Big whoop.
But like, I
Wimbledon?
mean, dude, how is the Rose Bowl not on here?
Yeah, and let's be honest, we both think the Horseshoe and the Big House should be on here.
I would agree.
And Death Valley's not even on here.
I was going to say, Cam, LSU. I mean, if you even want to
Death Valley is one of the coolest places to play.
If you want to take our allegiances out of it,
yes,
you don't have one college football stadium in here.
Man,
I mean, Cam, you played in Beaver Stadium for Penn State. How crazy is that stadium?
Or you could give Notre Dame's.
Them too. Yeah.
You know, I can't remember the name, so it must not be that famous. But
yeah, I don't know what it's called. But I just think too, to not have any college football stadiums on there is insane.
Yeah, the experts are wrong. This is a cool show on the History Channel, but we might need to investigate these experts. But now we got to get to our special conversation with the great Ryan Leaf. He sat down with us at Super Bowl, so take a listen. All right, guys, we are here at Radio Row, and we have a special guest. Ryan Leaf is here with us. Man, thank you so much for coming out today.
Yeah, man, it was good to see you. Just told you I've been a lifelong Steelers fan.
Yeah,
so.
I did not know that at all.
No, it's I don't think the fans do too. They give me a lot of hell. They really do. You know, I was just like, hey, you know, it might have reached with Kenny Pickett a little bit, but you know, you still got the guy. But man, I caught hell for like 2 days. Like, I'm a Steelers fan. I want him to be awesome.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, you're on the different side now. You're part of the media.
I am.
And so if you're not part of Steelers media, we're going to hate you, I guess.
Unless you say something nice, though. If he had said something nice about Kenny, I'm sure they would have flooded your mentions with
Well, I did.
things.
When he got drafted, I was like, I love it. I love the draft pick. I loved him coming out of college. So,
right.
you know, it's the 24-hour news cycle, right?
It's
who you are that day is whether you're hated or loved, and it's the world we live in.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that a little bit. You know, I really want to ask you, because I hate that people label players draft busts.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define that term, and what do you think should be done with it?
Well, yeah, there's no truth in it.
Right.
You know how hard it is to get to where we got.
Yes.
All the days that no one saw us, shooting hoops in the gym, throwing routes before school started. I mean, just everything that goes into it. I'm the only Montanan who's ever been drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. Wow. So there are more first-round draft picks in the Manning family than the whole state of Montana ever. Okay. So it's something special. And I think for the longest time, I cared so much about what other people thought that I didn't fully realize, what I had accomplished until later in life, until I got some perspective and I understood. So I don't like it. I understand it is what it is. The expectations that exist when you're such a high draft pick and when you're drafted alongside arguably the greatest to ever play. Right. Those things come into play. So what did I do? I flipped it. I took the power away. I named my podcast Bust, the Ryan Leaf story. And it's done like over 1 million downloads. So we're all cool.
I love it.
People who want to call me Bust are making me a lot of money now.
Yeah, that's lucrative.
Yeah.
It's awesome that you did that. Is there any advice you would give for the new kids in social media world going into the league?
Well, I think they're just so much well prepared for the criticism than we ever were. Right. If I would have been if after a game the immediate response was just this vitriol and critical analysis and stuff like that, I don't know what I would have done. I already had a hard enough time reading about it in the paper the next morning from the beat writer. Imagine getting it sitting in your locker room, fresh off throwing a pick to end the game or something, and people telling you, you are the worst thing in the world. So I think these players are so much more well prepared coming into the league. And, you're still going to see some missteps, especially with the money and the entitlement and things that come like that. But I think they're incredibly more prepared, more mature entering the NFL than I ever was in 25 years ago.
You brought this offset, but I want you to explain that there was a rule change when you were in college.
Well, yeah, we played in the Rose Bowl for the national championship against Michigan, where Peyton was playing against.
Michigan guy right there.
I am a Michigan fan. Yes,
yeah, Peyton was playing against Nebraska for essentially the other.
He blew that one.
Kind of national championship. Yeah, Nebraska had T-shirts that read "Temporary Washington State fan." I have one of them somewhere.
Really?
Somewhere. Yeah,
wow.
I thought it was pretty cool, but. So there's 2 seconds left on the clock. We throw a hook and ladder. Our third-string running back's in because our 2 guys got injured during the game. Right. And and the thing I said in the huddle too was like, just whatever you do, get out of bounds. Okay. At least we have a shot. Well, he does a hook and ladder, and just muscle memory takes over. Guy who played plants his foot right next to the sideline, cuts back in, picks up about 6 yards, gets tackled. There's 2 seconds left. We all run up. We get everybody set. I spike it. Boom. Look up. There's still 1 second there, and it goes. And then. I went after the official. Everybody's going crazy. Michigan's jumping up in the air, all the things like that. They waved the game off. Well, there's no instant replay back then. So in the offseason, they made a rule that changed. Now, for you to be able to spike the football, you have to have 3 seconds left on the clock, regardless. So if there's 2 seconds, then I would have ran right up to the ball, and we would have snapped it and ran a play.
Yeah. Right.
But instead, I thought, 2 seconds, I can spike that and get it done with. And I hate watching it sometimes in NFL games or college games. You'll see a guy step up with 5 seconds on the clock, they'll spike it, and they'll stay 4 seconds left. It's still there. I'm going, it's all about who's up there hitting that little
Who's the
switch.
clock operator
Who's
that
the clock
day? It
operator?
really is all about that.
Clearly, he was a
Michigan fan.
He was a blue man of blue.
Yeah, we don't like to talk about Michigan those guys. We don't like to talk about those guys.
No, we don't.
Sorry.
I'm a state school guy. I love it too, right? Yeah.
I love them even more now.
Yeah.
There we go.
Washington, not Ohio, though.
It's
my same thing. We look at Washington like you just rich, spoiled people. Same with Michigan. I get it.
All right. Well, we had a quarterback make some headlines, and he's not playing. He's an older guy. Trent Dilfer. He talked about the modern-day game doesn't impress him, and it's super easy because you don't get hit as a quarterback. How do you feel about that?
Well, there is some truth in the fact you don't get hit.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. Right?
Very true.
I mean, some of the things
if I touch you right now, that's a penalty.
It is, and it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. That's the game you play.
Right.
We are informed enough now. We know what the game does and understand it. But I get what the NFL is trying to accomplish. I mean, what pushes the agenda? What does everything? It's the quarterback play. It just is. It's a quarterback's league, so keep them safe. I agree with him in the fact that they are not fearful at all of getting hit. So they'll sit in the pocket much longer than they may ever have because they know they're not going to get the beating. I couldn't. Reggie White, Derek Thomas, Bruce Smith were knocking me the hell out.
Man, those are 3 Hall of Famers coming at you, too. That ain't good.
I remember one time I escaped Reggie White. He was in Carolina at the time, and I threw this like 75-yard bomb, and he was hanging off my foot after I let it go, and I looked down, I kind of helped him up, and that deep old voice is, she's like, "Damn, Leaf, you were big." I was just like, and that voice of his, I was just like, yeah, I mean, it's a different world. So I agree with him there.
Right.
I think the speed of this game now is something that no one could have ever anticipated.
No.
The speed of the players, the strength of the players, all of that has.
Were you guys running much hurry up back then?
Yeah, we did. We ran.
Okay.
We ran. I mean, I think Peyton really instituted it in terms of a way the offense has changed in Indianapolis. But I felt more comfortable when I was at the line of scrimmage, being able to kind of dictate what the defense showed me, which allowed me to run the play I wanted to run. So, but I played with Trent. I love him. We like we talked about the 24-hour news cycle. We say some things that we I don't necessarily think the context of it is that our generation was greater than this generation type of mentality. I don't also want to rail against the guy that's holding the Lombardi trophy like he does too.
Yeah,
either.
that's true too. Would you have liked to play in the current offense though today?
Are you
Like,
kidding
how
me?
much different are they than what you played in?
Yeah, I would have loved it. I also think it would have been really difficult for me. Like the RPO game for me, like the ball handling aspect of things, the fake and getting the hand. I had to have the laces. I mean, my hands were big enough to throw it from anything, but I had to have the laces to feel really comfortable with where I was dictating the ball. And the ball handling that these quarterbacks exhibit now, and I want to say this too, in probably defense of the modern game and against what Trent Dilfer was saying, the quarterbacks are smarter. These offenses are more difficult to understand, and you call like maybe sometimes 3 or 4 plays in the huddle and walk to the line of scrimmage and make it work. I mean, it's incredibly impressive what these guys are doing, and for somebody who wasn't able to, accomplish what I wanted to accomplish at the NFL level, I'm in awe of the guys that are able to do it.
Well, I think you guys had the more advantage, though. You guys can throw over the middle. I mean, they can throw over the middle. You guys couldn't because
Get guys blown
oh
up.
my
Crushed.
gosh,
Yeah, getting
Ed
killed.
Reed or Troy Polamalu coming down the center, you're done.
Yeah, and
You're killing
that's
your
even
receivers.
before my time when, I played with Rodney Harrison in San Diego, and that guy did not care. He was the first honey badger. Man, that dude did not care about anything. He was taking you out. You were not going to come anywhere near the middle, and he knew he had Junior Seau backing him up when he did it.
Very true.
Some-
Give me your welcome to NFL moment.
Arrowhead.
Arrowhead.
2-0 as a starter.
Okay.
Feeling good.
First time it had happened as a rookie since John Elway in 1983. Walk into Arrowhead, had spent the entire week in the hospital with a staph infection from the week before, sliding on turf, and some of my tights had melted into my skin, and I got sick. So I was in the hospital all week, but I was going to play. I was going to show everybody, big, tough, rookie quarterback. Peyton had lost his first 2 starts and thrown a bunch of picks. I'm like, I'm killing this thing. This is all me. I'm going to go own Arrowhead now. And went into Arrowhead. Rich Gannon was the quarterback for Kansas City at the time. Had a wonderful warm-up. I don't know what they shot me up with. I don't know, it was adrenaline or who knows what the hell. I was going after it. And proceeded to go out and have the worst football game of my life. 1 for 15 for 4 yards, 2 picks, 3 fumbles, like 5 sacks. It was a rainstorm. It was a monsoon. It was crazy weather. Gannon didn't play much better. We lost by, But that was my introduction. That's like that moment where, hey, welcome to the NFL, kid.
Yeah.
And what really solidified it was, and you've experienced this. You're standing on the sideline. They're singing the national anthem, and no one told me. I mean, somebody come tell me that says, hey, at the end of the national anthem, they don't say "Land of the Free, Home of the Brave," right?
Right.
They say "Chiefs," and the whole
yeah.
place does it. And it did it, and I just had goosebumps on the back of my my hair stood up on the back of my neck. I'm just like going, where the hell am I? I mean, that was my welcome to the NFL moment. Yeah.
I've told mine before, but we were playing Baltimore my first game, and we had just come off of losing the Super Bowl, but they beat them 3 straight times. The Steelers had, and so we're playing. I'm not starting, but you walk out there. I see Rashard Mendenhall get clotheslined by Haloti Ngata, and I'm like, okay, this is a little different. And then they're just running the ball. It's crazy. Like, they were just so hyped. And it was, it was September 11th. And those games are just, elevated.
Yep.
And so I remember getting in that game, at the end of the game because we were getting blown out. And I was like, oh, this is a different speed. But the energy and intensity is
It's nothing you can compare it
nothing
to,
in college. Nothing in college.
Even when 100,000 people are standing there screaming in Columbus or
because they're all
Ann
for
Arbor.
me.
But even in Ann Arbor, I mean, 110,000.
Ann Arbor didn't get loud
well,
because
yeah,
we never
right.
lost to them.
That's right. You got Michigan at the worst tenure of Michigan football ever. So congratulations.
I had to put them there.
Yeah,
Hey, man,
whatever.
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Rich Rodriguez and Brady Hoke. That's all I'm going to say. All right. That's all I'm going to say.
Brady Hoke was the defensive coordinator on that Michigan team that beat us in the Rose Bowl.
Was he really? Okay, that's right.
Did he wear his headset?
I don't know.
He did wear a
I don't-
headset as a head coach, so probably not. Okay, we
Probably
don't need to
not.
keep doing this. Leave Brady Hoke alone.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Leave him alone.
He's got the best job in the world now. San Diego State.
Yeah, he
New
is.
stadium,
Yep.
living in Diego. Come on now.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah.
cushy job right there.
Yeah, that's
you
great.
cannot beat that.
You can win the Mountain West every year, Brady.
Oh, yeah.
You know that.
So
Can't
you-
win the Big Ten to save your life, but you
No,
can win the
no,
Mountain
no.
West.
Set Michigan back about 10 years too. Just getting out of that hole now.
All right. I want to know, what was your draft experience like?
It was incredible, right?
Right.
Peyton and I were going to be the first or second pick. We knew it. We kind of controlled. I wish I would have understood the power that I had and like the leverage that I had, because I would have went to my agent and said, I don't care how you make it work, just make sure I end up in Pittsburgh. But at the time I didn't really care. I was going to get to go play pro football.
Right.
But quarterbacks at the top of the draft like that, him and I, we were graded out at like 9.8 in our grades, like one of the highest grades ever for draft prospects. So we did whatever we wanted. We didn't go to things. We didn't go to do anything to the combine. We had one pro workout date where we balled out, and him and I both knew it. Every time we got to events and things like that, we're just like, "Well, you doing that?" I was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that either," because we were going to be the first or second pick in the NFL draft. No, that's rare. And so when we went to the draft, the night before, it was like 9:30. I knew what was happening. I went to bed. I slept great. Woke up. My grandpa was there
You slept?
all night.
Oh, my gosh. I got back to my room at like 12 o'clock. I just got done with interviews.
Oh, you mean the day you got drafted?
No, I'm talking about Combine.
Oh,
We were just
we left the combine. We didn't even stay.
lucky you.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
I
I'm over here stressing. He's already got
No,
he's
we were
already
done.
getting drafted.
Draft day for me was I went to sleep the night before the draft because I knew what was going to happen, and then just experienced the whole thing. And it was on Saturday back then, Saturday morning. I got drafted. I did the media. Ownership had their plane there, swooped me up. We flew to San Diego. On the way, we stopped in Vegas.
Oh.
All my boys from Montana
Wow.
came. My uncles, we all partied all night long. I get a lot of hell for it because people go back to, like, of course, how your career ended. This guy stopped and he went to Vegas the night of his draft. Peyton grabbed his playbook and went back to the hotel. Peyton didn't grab his playbook and go back to the hotel. Peyton went and partied his ass off. Everybody knows it, all right? This narrative is tired. And I still loved the fact that night, my dad, all my uncles, all my best friends that helped me sacrifice, and the ownership had a place in Vegas. We stopped. Next morning, put me on the flight, went out and did the press conference. It's a special night for me and my whole family.
Appreciate you doing that. Let us know of any upcoming projects you got going on.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, I'm doing a ton of work in the media, but I think the foundation of what I do is about giving back in terms of.
And what's the name of the foundation?
No Foundation. It's the Ryan Leaf freaking story. I spent 3 years in prison.
Yes, sir.
I'm a drug addict. I'm in recovery. I don't get the life that I get to lead unless I make it about other people. What's ironic about that is, like, your life gets better when you make it about other people.
Yes, sir.
And so that's been the foundation of it. And by doing that, I get to do so many other cool things, right? I have my podcast. I have my own TV show. I call games on the weekends for ESPN. I do a ton of work with Sirius XM NFL Radio. Just got done with my show a little bit earlier this morning. And, I mean, it's if you'd have told me 10 years ago when I was sitting in a prison cell that I'd be hanging with Cam Heyward on a couch
That's Super Bowl Radio Row,
on
right?
Super Bowl Radio Row, I would have told you are absolutely nuts. That's never going to happen. I'm going to spend my life in this cell, and if I'm not, I'm probably going to be dead because of it. And I mean, what an amazing story. And it's a big reason why people find me relatable, because I'm a flawed human being like everybody else.
Well, we're all flawed.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. We love your story. Thank you so much for spending time with us and coming on the show. It means a lot to us.
Hey, can I come out to a Steelers game? Can I be a guest here or something?
Of course.
Dude,
I'm dead serious.
Dude,
I am
Lewis,
dead serious.
Lewis Lips was I used to run around
Louis
my house.
Lips.
I used to run around
So he
my
was
house.
a fan. He's dropping Louis Lips. He was
I used to run
he was
around
a
with
fan.
83 on my back with oh man.
Now my little brother wears 83.
I saw
So
that.
Now you can wear 83.
Meatball, yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. That is such a cool deal. Remind me why the logo's only on one side.
I honestly don't know why it's only on one
Somebody
side.
told me why that was the case. Find that out.
I will.
That's great history for you to know because I knew it. Somebody told me it years ago and I forgot why it was. Something to do with the steelworkers.
At first,
Yeah.
this was temporary measure because the Steelers weren't sure they would like the look of the logo on one helmet. They wanted to test them before going on. That's not telling me anything.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll try to find it.
It has something to do with the steelworkers, I think. But
Yeah.
I love it. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love what you're doing. I want you guys to get back to the Super Bowl so I can.
So do I.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, appreciate you again, Ryan Lee, for
You bet.
coming on.
My pleasure, brother.
We'll see you around.
Yeah.
Come to the game.
Thanks.
Thanks, bro.